So it looks like they're selling America's sovereignty. While you struggle to find formula to feed your babies, this is what the shelves look like at illegal immigrant processing centers on the border. Just imagine full shelves of baby formula. They're out there. Now, Florida Representative Cammack obtained photos from concerned Border Patrol agents who said they had just received pallets of formula. This is what America's last looks like. The compliments of Joe Biden. Meanwhile, 75% of Americans say the U.S. is on the wrong track under Biden. And gas prices are at an all-time high with $4.48 per gallon. Much higher in a lot of places, though. Meanwhile, producer price index surged 11% in April. And ex-Biden aide Simone Sanders' new MSNBC show flopped with just 361,000 viewers, or approximately the amount of real voters that Joe Biden had in 2020. Thank you for tuning in to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, part of GoRightNews.com. Please check us out. Now let's watch some videos.
Warning, notice the social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. GoRightNews.com publishes and shares news gathered by many sources, right, middle, and left. The views in these news might not reflect the views of the publisher or reader in the podcast. Keep this in mind before blocking, striking, or banning Go Right News from your platform.
Hi neighbors, this is Peter Boykin, and this is hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin. Check out this news story and more on GoRightNews.com and the podcast hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin.
In a rare moment of honest comedy, Saturday Night Live humiliated Joe Biden for all the failures he's presided over. The Joe Biden administration is a mess. It's so much of a mess that Saturday Night Live is making fun of you. That's pretty bad. Let's watch.
Well, if you feel like things are a little off this week, remember, yesterday was Friday the 13th. Tomorrow is a super blood moon. And according to the most annoying person you know, Mercury is in retrograde. Is it me, or does it every story this week sound like the opening voiceover in a Mad Max movie? The year is 2022. A virus rages across the planet. Digital money has collapsed. Infants have nothing to eat. Women are forced to breed. Men are ready to die for gasoline. And we suffer under the leadership of the one known only as Joe. Cryptocurrency crashed this week with Bitcoin losing nearly half its value, and now it has to legally change its name to BitOcoin. In fact, the entire crypto market has lost over $1 trillion, but don't worry, you can make that money back fast as long as you've been hoarding baby formula.
You know, this baby formula shortage is scary. I mean, babies are very sensitive. You can't just feed them anything. I once tried to give my little nephew something different than his usual formula, and he nearly choked on that hot wing bone.
So there's a highlight reel out there, and let's enjoy it, of Biden's new press secretary calling things racist. Well, remember, his new press secretary checks all the check marks. She's a woman, she's black, and she's a lesbian. But she gets to call everything racist. So let's watch.
Racism, sexism, misogyny, all of that, homophobia, xenophobia, we connect it to Donald Trump, but it existed before Donald Trump. Fox News was racist before coronavirus. They are racist during the coronavirus. Fox News will be racist after the coronavirus. Racism was here before Donald Trump, and it's sadly it will be here after Donald Trump. It walks like a racist, talks like a racist, acts like a racist. It is a racist. And we have a racist president in the White House who really pushes his racism like a peacock. Donald Trump is the first president to have purposefully has made racism the center of his campaign, of his administration, clearly. I think Donald Trump wants to get rid of legal immigration, and it's because of people who come from brown and black countries. He might do away with DACA, which is another moral line that he would be crossing, which is something that would be enforcing, advancing a white supremacy agenda. Donald Trump was a white supremacist in 2011 when he decided to be the grand wizard of the birther movement. Birtherism, which is inherently racist. They want to put up these awful voter registration, voter suppression laws, which is racism, to make it difficult for people of color to vote. And voter suppression is racism. That's exactly what it is. Xenophobia and racism has always played a role in outbreaks. If you look at SARS, if you look at Ebola, if you look at yellow fever or Spanish flu, we've been talking about the coronavirus and how it is an epidemic in this country, which is true. But another epidemic in this country is racism. Remember George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many lives, black lives that were lost last year because of violence, because of racism, because of, white supremacy. Can we kind of dispel this whole idea that the Tea Party was about the deficit when clearly that is not true? What it was about was a reactionary to the racism in America that we were seeing at the time. And what are we going to do to actually start the process? Because it's going to take some time to uproot systemic racism. We have to continue to call out this racism. We cannot stop not doing that.
Did Democrat Congressman Steny Hoyer just say that we're at war with Russia? So House Majority Leader Representative Steny Hoyer says, quote, "We're at war." Proxy war, but this is what they're thinking about? Watch this.
As I told you, Cove Point is now sending 80%, reversing Asia supply to European supply because they need it because we're at war.
Now, on another non-political note, astronomers revealed the first ever image of the black hole at the center of our galaxy, which reminds me of a tweet that supposedly Trump made a long time ago. He says, "I hope we don't find life on other planets in another world, because before you know, we'll be sending money to them." Watch this video.
For decades, scientists have believed there is a black hole at the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. Yesterday, for the first time, they released a photograph of it, an astonishing sight. Its shadow is surrounded by light that is being bent by immense gravity coming from the black hole, and it is just about 27,000 light years away from Earth. Miles O'Brien is here to explain some of the mysteries around all of this. So, Miles, tell us, what is the significance of this image?
Judy, it's our black hole. We've seen a picture of a black hole before. The same team delivered a picture of a much larger black hole, M87, in 2019. But this one is at the center of our galaxy. And while it might look kind of benign there's a lot going on there. The gas is spinning around that black hole at impossibly difficult speeds to comprehend. It has a mass that is 4 million times our sun. And the researchers were saying that as they were looking at it, they could see it moving in minutes' time. They described it as burbling and gurgling. So it's a crazy place to be. If you and I were there at the edge of that black hole and set foot in it, we would be spaghettified. So it's kind of a mean place in our galaxy, kind of a tough neighborhood, but important for everything that is around us and makes us who we are.
How were they able to get this image in the first place?
They have a telescope the size of Earth. So I know that doesn't sound logical, but basically what they did was they connected 8 telescopes all over the planet in pairs and made sure they took observations at exactly the right moment, synchronized with atomic clocks. And then what they did was they compiled all that data, collated all that information, and then used an algorithm to sort of fill in the gaps. So it's kind of like, You can imagine a piano keyboard with some keys missing. If you can fill in enough of those keys, you can figure out the tune. And so basically they figured out the tune using computational techniques that had never been done before. It's quite an amazing accomplishment of engineering.
And for the scientists, Miles, what makes this so important, so fascinating to them? I mean, do we worry about Earth getting sucked into this black hole?
No, we're in a safe neighborhood. Don't worry about that one. But it is fascinating for a couple of things. First of all, this is probably the strongest proof yet of Einstein's theory of relativity, which goes back to 1915. He theorized that these things existed, and then for the longest time we looked and looked and didn't see them. In 1974, scientists found the spot where it was likely to be, and now we have finally seen it. And so that gives us this amazing validation of a scientific theory, in addition to being pretty darn cool on top of that. The other thing that they found that was interesting is that it matched in many ways the image of M87, the other black hole that they imaged. It has that same donut pattern. So that tells them that what they saw initially was not a fluke, not just a coincidence. And now they say they've seen an extraordinary big black hole in M87, and now they've looked at ours, and it's kind of a more run-of-the-mill black hole.
And so now that these scientists have this, Miles, what's next? What do they next want to do?
Well, we've got the selfie. Up next is the movie. They're going to try to expand the number of telescopes on the surface of the Earth so they can have another opportunity to image this black hole and others in greater detail, enough detail to capture the motion. Basically, that the time exposure was long enough that the motion around it, the gas that was spinning around that black hole, was blurred. It's just like shooting a waterfall on a time exposure. So with a few more telescopes on the surface of Earth, they should be able to freeze the action, as it were, and create movies. And then maybe someday, they hope, we can put interferometers, these kinds of paired telescopes, into space, which would be, of course, much farther apart, and which would create a much bigger lens virtually. And who knows what we'll find then.
Miles O'Brien, thanks very much.
You're welcome, Judy.
Now, here are some examples of the disturbing voicemails that pro-abortion activists have left for the Wisconsin Pro-Life Center that was firebombed recently. Now, due to disturbing content, discretion is advised. But if you're watching this podcast, you should have already been advised. Here, listen.
Hi, I'm calling because I read about the fire in your building, and I'm calling because I'm curious if it was arson, or rather the good Lord showing you an example of hell and where you belong for being such a misogynistic bitch. Thanks for basically going out there daily and making sure that women can't have control over their own bodies. And I'm so thankful that the good Lord finally took action on people like you.
You're going to burn as well. You're all going to burn. You think you're following the will of Jesus? You're following the devil, actually. You're just evil little people try to control other people's lives. And next time that Molotov, I hope it doesn't miss. I hope you all burn with it. That's what you deserve.
Yeah, you must be a pretty perverted group if that's all you got to do all day long is think about people's sex organs. Leave your f***ing beliefs out of the government. You got no rights to be prying into other people's private family matters. Get the out and keep your f***ing to yourself, you idiots. We're sick of you evangelical pieces of shit. Go to hell. That's where you're going anyway.
Yeah, just learned about you ignorant, simplistic, racist scum because of the fire. And whoever said that fire is a true American patriot. You people are just utter filth of the planet. And it's too bad your whore mothers didn't abort each and every last one of you. Hopefully you all get cancer or suffer amounts and are dead before the end of the year. For the betterment of all of humanity, you self-absorbed waste of human scum and filth.
Burn, little Jesus freaks. Burn, burn, burn.
Yeah, hey, I just heard about your fire, and I'm toasting to that. Like, you f***ing pieces of shit couldn't deserve any less. I really hope you all have to live with the evil that you've dispensed in the world. You f***ing pieces of shit. Enjoy your marshmallows.
So I hear you had a little bit of trouble. Oh, well. Oh, well. He'll rebuild.
Even more disturbing. Is it me, or does Kamala Harris, or Kamalia, or Kamalalia, or whatever Harris, get more clueless by the day? Count how many times she says, work together in 30 seconds. I swear at this point, they just have an ad lib for her. All right, watch this video.
That is especially true when it comes to the climate crisis, which is why we will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on to galvanize global action. With that, I thank you all. This is a matter of urgent priority for all of us, and I know we will work on this together.
So a pro-Second Amendment witness at the Buffalo mass shooting tells the media it's not the gun, it's the person with the gun. Watch this video.
Oh, this is just ridiculous. What else can you say? It's ridiculous. Something has to change from the bottom to the top, because they're not going to do nothing. We got to do something, because this is ridiculous. I feel bad for the people that was in there, because after the security guard got shot, he got a gun shooting people still. If more people were armed and knew what they were doing with a gun, because it's not the gun, it's the person with the gun that don't know how to act. So I just hope something comes from this.
It's not the gun, it's the person with the gun. That from one of the witnesses there who just left the supermarket when all of the shooting broke out.
So Hollywood's full of hypocrites. So a Hollywood hypocrite, a maskless Broadway actress, goes full Karen on an audience member because their mask fell below their nose. You have to be a real privileged piece of shit to mask shame someone while you're not wearing one yourself. There's a full story on the website, and here's the video.
Put your mask over your nose. That's why you're in the theater. That is the rule. If you don't want to follow the rule, get the fuck out! Who do you think you are if you do not respect the people that are sitting around you? You pay my salary. Bullshit. Chris Harper pays my salary. Who do you think you are? You're behind. Just put your mask over your nose.
Thanks for tuning in to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, part of GoRightNews.com. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, folks, each month, Go Right News spends hundreds of dollars and hours to run this site and podcast with no sponsors or ads. This comes out of our pockets. If you like what you see, consider donating to the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. God bless everybody. And go to GoRightNews.com.
It's time to join the Go Right movement. It is time to hashtag Go Right for America. Join us at GoRight.us and GoRightNews.com. It is time for the Great American Revival, and it is time to hashtag Go Right for America.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening to this, and please share it everywhere. Again, this has been hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, a part of GoRightNews.com and a part of the Go Right Network.